Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pandemics Now and Then Talmud on Stage performance. We are live streaming from Budapest, where the local time is 7:05 p.m. My name is Borcsa Lakos. I'm the founder of Talmud on Stage initiative. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight and perform, closing the annual conference of the International Council of Christians and Jews, ICCJ. Let me thank again for this invitation for the staff of ICCJ. I also have to mention that this event cannot happen without the generous support of Paideia and our co-organizer partner, UA Katz, and the Austrian Coordinating Committee for Christian and Jewish Cooperation. The world has changed last year. Almost everyone has been affected by the coronavirus all over the world. Many of us have lost someone or something. I have, for example, lost my job as being a tourist guide. I still believe that it might also be worth to zoom out and reflect on the situation from a distance. Therefore, Talmud on Stage is themed tonight, Pandemics Now and Then. We will have a look at pandemics from the biblical times through the Talmudic era to our own days with the help of our invited experts and our dear improv actors. So this is the next 60 minutes in a nutshell, which will be followed by a Q&A. So if you wanna stay 15 minutes longer after the performance, just check the chat, YouTube chat at the end, and all information will be over there about this Zoom link. So I think this is a high time to start. So dear invited guests, dear improv actors, the stage is yours. Enjoy.
So, good evening everyone. Let me also welcome you on tonight's show. My name is Gábor Szőke. I will be the host of the evening. Basically, Borcsa stole parts of my story. Actually, she was talking about a lot of things that I would have to say. But anyway, what you are going to see tonight is going to be a series of discussions and stories about pandemics now and then, exchanging with improv scenes. What you need to know about improvisation, if you're not familiar with it yet, is that there are no pre-written scripts in the improv scenes. Our players of tonight are going to play scenes which are inspired by the stories and by the discussion, and basically your inputs as well. We are going to talk about your inputs later in a minute. But first, let me introduce the guests of tonight. We have Zsuzsa Fritz here with us, also known as Fritzi, and let me use my cheat sheet here because I should not definitely make a mistake here. She is a Jewish educator, head of the Jewish Knowledge Center at JCC Budapest Bálintház. Is that correct?
Yeah, perfectly.
It's great to have you here.
It's
Thanks
great
very
to be
much
here.
for coming.
Thanks, Gábor.
Thank you. And we have Katalin Balog, Kati, a Hebraist, teacher of biblical Hebrew at Sapiencia College of Theology and Religious Orders.
Exactly.
Thank you, Kati. Thanks very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. The
It's
pleasure
fantastic
is still
to have
mine.
you here. And we have the improv players, whom without this show couldn't really happen because there would be no players who are playing the scenes. We have Shati, hello Shati, Luca, Gergő, and Peti with us. Thanks very much, guys, for being here. All right, we already mentioned that for some of the scenes, we would definitely need your inputs. There is one way that we can use as the communication between each other, and that is the YouTube chat. I can see the live chat here on my computer. So may I kindly ask you to put in any kind of greeting in whatever language, and maybe also the location where you are watching us from, and how many of you are there in front of the scene. Let me start with something. I'll just say something in Hungarian. Sziasztok, and I put it in. And oh yeah, we have plenty of comments already arriving. Hi everyone, Miriam, Marcus, okay, that's a name, and clapping and waving hands. Thank you very much. So just feel free to put in any kind of greetings and comments. Borcsa already mentioned that at the end of the show, there will be a Q&A session, which would last for about 15-20 minutes, where you can talk about the behind the scenes things of the show, how the Talmud on stage was created, what is the concept behind it, and of course, all the stories and all the scenes that you are going to see tonight. Okay, so greetings to all from Germany. So you are watching us from Germany. Welcome. Willkommen. That was all my German, probably.
Very well said.
Jerusalem, Budapest. It's great to have you guys all here. All right. What else? Did I say everything? I think I did, right?
Yeah,
we were talking about the Q&A, the introduction, everything. So let's start.
Yeah, let's
All
start.
right. What is today? 27th of June, right?
Yes.
Which is a day where we don't eat. Or people don't eat. It's a fast day,
Some
right?
people don't
And
eat.
Some people don't eat. Okay, okay. So tell us about that.
Yeah, it's Yud Zayin B'Tammuz. The 17th of the month of Tammuz is a fast and mourning day. And the major event that this day commemorates is that the Romans circulated Jerusalem and broke through the walls. So this basically led to a very tragic day 3 weeks later when the Jerusalem temple, the spiritual center of the Jewish religion and people, was destroyed. According to the tradition, it is also the day when Moses, coming down from Mount Sinai, saw that the people created a golden calf and broke the tablets of law. So it commemorates. Usually, rabbis add all kinds of meanings to the different days, and all kinds of layers are added to almost everything in Judaism. It's what the Talmud is also about. It reflects on the things that happened at the time, and then centuries later, more and more rabbis add from their own contemporary life. So it's a little bit like improv theater,
that's exactly
right?
what I wanted to say, actually.
So you see something and you understand it from your own situation, from your own point of view in that moment, here and now, like Iteshmosh, right? So it's that's what the Talmud is about as well.
So the whole fasting thing and everything that, as you just mentioned, like it's literally linked to quite like tragic, sad events.
Yes.
Mostly,
Yes.
right? Or always, probably. Okay. How was that like interpreted, or what was the meaning? How was it interpreted in the Talmud, or how is it? Is it like so? What's the interpretation of the events that are happening? You know, like the bad events.
Well, it's mostly what they think. Most of the rabbis think that, especially at that time, that if something bad happens, that's a punishment, right? So if there's a natural disaster, if there's a plague, then it must be a punishment for something that we did wrong.
I see.
And many of the customs of the fasting and mourning day is also because of that. So you have to be able to go inside to reflect and think about what you did wrong. Like the destruction of the temple is because there was baseless hatred, for example. That's one of the explanations that the rabbis give.
There is definitely something similar in the Bible, right? So if we are talking about the Old Testament, that's kind of the same picture of God, like the punishing kind of figure.
Yes. In the ancient times in the Bible, the punishment is always a consequence of deeds and acts, and several opinions can be founded in the Bible. So you can find that, yes, this is the punishment of your deeds, and also the God is merciful and forgives the wickedness if you made a repentance. So it's very important, our conversion.
Yep.
But maybe the father's deed will be punished to 3 or 4 generations on the child. But you can find the opposite as well.
Okay.
So other text speaks about that one who sins, the one will die. So I will judge you concerning on your own ways, on your own deeds. So we can find everything in the Bible.
If you want to look at the like the topic of tonight, like strictly pandemics now and then, COVID, and all that kind of stuff. So how does it come up, whether in the Bible or in the Talmud, like if you're talking about plagues as punishment of God, what are the examples or any ideas or any interpretation on that?
So there's the famous story about Rabbi Akiva and his students. Rabbi Akiva was one of the major, most famous rabbis of the Talmud, and he had a lot of students. He himself was very learned, coming from a very poor background, and there were 12,000 study pairs who studied in the academy, in the yeshiva, and they all suddenly die in a pandemic. In a plague, and so you would start to think, how come these are learned students? Like, is God unjust of killing students who study the Talmud and the Torah?
They're following the way, basically.
They're following the way. They are the ones who should be saved, right? How come that they are the ones who are killed? And then, of course, the rabbis come up with an explanation and say that because they didn't respect each other. So it cannot be that God is unjust. Then there has to be a reason why they died, and they were punished because they didn't respect each other. And
so they couldn't apply basically what they were studying. The story.
Exactly.
That, right?
So there's in Judaism many times there's a big tension between how much you should study and how much you should practice, because Judaism is a practical religion, and that's what the Talmud is about. Actually, that it's all the little nuances, like how should I live the best Jewish life ever, and then the rabbis confront each other and debate it and whatever, and so this So how come somebody who studies is killed? Because they didn't respect each other, so they didn't practice what they learned. And here, clearly, the practice wins and says, yes, you have to practice, you have to respect the other, because otherwise there's no, why should you study?
Thank you. Let me stop you there, all right? Because this is the time when we are going to play the first improv scene, okay? And the challenge I'm going to put you up, guys, would be show us a number of ways, okay, that God will punish someone who sinned in the modern days. Okay, so any kind of godly punishment, that's what we are going to see. Before we start with that, just let me tell you guys, okay, that this is like, you're gonna love it. We are we have people watching us from Jerusalem, Uruguay, Brazil, France, Switzerland, Rome. Wow, from all around the world. It's fantastic. Yeah. It's great to have you all here.
That's great.
So, 10 ways of godly punishment. Let's start with the scene now.
So, as I can see, she won't listen to her mother. She won't put her phone down.
I wanted to, actually, just right now. I mean,
Yeah.
I put it down. No phone.
Your phone is dead.
What? What?
All of your electricians are dead now.
What? What? You
Listen
mean
more to your mother, child.
my computer?
Excuse me. Sorry, I just can't find the vegan sausages here.
There must be a reason, Joshua.
Is there? I mean, it's out of stock or what?
Well, there's no more vegan sausages for you in this shop.
What have I...
Hello? Yes, I ordered the pizza 20 days ago. It's like, when are you bringing it? 3 more days? Okay.
I'm in. Yeah, can you hear me? Hey, yeah, I'm speaking. I can hear you. Can you hear me? No, but I can... Yeah.
So, I just, would like to have this operation, doctor, because, I don't know why and how, but after each and every time I have sex, I get this, ring around my neck, and it's people don't know, but you see that it's a lot, and I know what it is, and I feel that they're gonna find it out, and
Sorry, can I?
Yes, please.
Can I buy a mask? Because you know I don't have one because I didn't want to wear it while it was necessary. But now I have an awful huge thing in my mouth, and now I have to wear a mask, isn't it? Can I buy still?
Next time.
I don't like this Mercedes, Daddy. I wanted to know the TT. That's not the right thing, and it's not even purple.
But darling, it's quite an expensive car.
I don't care. It's not about the money, is it? It's about my joy, isn't it?
Well, darling, you can't...
Oh, hi. Good morning.
Hi.
Come in.
Grandpa is here. We're gonna live here because, you know...
You're moving in, Grandpa?
Yeah, we're gonna move in with your grandma because we are too...
No, Grandpa, no, you
lazy
can't.
to live anymore.
You can't move in here.
We're gonna live
What did I
together.
do?
Well...
Help me.
Oh my God, Grandpa.
God could punish me with an ODTT as well. I mean, I would definitely
That's a great
volunteer.
great
yeah.
punishment,
It's a great
yes.
punishment, yeah. Mercedes as well. Yeah, thanks very much, guys. There was a question in the chat. Annette, you were asking for the link to the after performance get together. I'm going to put the link into the chat window at the end of the show. All right. So when we will say goodbye to each other, then you will see it there. But we have plenty of time until then. So we were talking about like the rightful judgment, right? And someone sinned or did something bad, then God punished. That's fine. I mean, yeah, good. What happens if and what is the explanation? Okay, if someone was born with a certain condition, like or with a disease, or apparently there was nothing that the person did wrong, is that still a punishment, or where is that coming from?
Yes, that's very interesting. I have a story about this from the Gospels, John, chapter 9.
Yeah.
The man born blind.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting story because it reflects very, very well the thought and the questions of that time, of the biblical time, of it is a very good mirror about the opinions, the questions which are posed. So the story is about a blind man who was born blind, and Jesus and his disciples meet him. And the first question is from the part of the disciples that, Rabbi, who sinned? Who sinned? Him or his parents? That's a typical question. And Jesus' answers is not really typical. Not typical at all. He answers that nobody sins. Neither his parents nor him sinned. It is because he is blind, because, I quote, this has happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. So, Jesus healed the person, very interesting way. He spit on the ground, and he mixed the saliva and he made a mud, and he put the mud onto the blind eyes, and then he will see. He had two goals.
Yeah.
Jesus is compassionate. He sees the sufferings, and he wants to help the suffered people. And he acts. So action, very important. What you act if you see something in front of you.
Yep.
The second goal is that Jesus wants to show something behind this. So the healing is very important. He wants to show the power of God, the God's existence, and the power of faith in our world, here and now.
So the person is blind, and there is one sole reason for that, to show that God, through Jesus Christ, could heal him, right? That's the point.
That's the point, yes. And very
Very nice.
interesting, very interesting how the Pharisees, how the Jewish religious part acts for this, reacts for this. There is an investigation after that healing.
Oh yeah.
They ask the blind man, so it is very typical, the Risha ve'chakira. So the
means what?
healing, this is the original investigating method
Okay.
in the Jewish tradition. And what is very interesting, these are the questions. First, what he did with you, how he did with you. Okay, we don't believe that you were blind.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
Skepticism.
Skepticism.
Yeah.
They invite the parents of the blind man. Is it true that your child was blind?
Yeah.
Yes, he was blind. And what happened? We don't know. But now we see that he sees. The second thing, that the healing happened on Sabbath day. That's a very big problem.
Mistake. Yeah.
Big mistake. So this man, and this is the logic, this man is not from God because he heals on Sabbath day.
I see.
So it is not coming from God.
I see.
So the healing is not important, but the circumstances, the how, is more important than the act.
I see.
Than the act. So
Okay.
sorry. And how can? But the other part of Pharisees, so they are not. So they are divided, because
They
the
don't
other
have a common
part.
argument or a common
Yes, the
point of
other
view.
part asks that if he is a sinner, how could do this healing? Because common people, a sinner, cannot do this.
I see.
So very interesting.
What would be the rabbinic, I don't know, like relief of the situation, or?
Well, what I find interesting is that there's very little, if almost none, of cases in the Hebrew Bible about people born with blindness or deafness because of some reason. So many times the rabbis actually take it to a metaphoric level, and even like there's a commandment that says you shall not put a stumbling block before the blind. Most of the rabbis, or many of the rabbis, will explain this, that it's not strict about blindness, but about somebody who doesn't see something because he's prevented or she's prevented from seeing something. Or they take it even further and they say gossiping is, for example, like putting a stumbling block before the blind. So, here when the Pharisees are looking for all these miniature details, they're doing what the rabbis have to do, because that's how you live a Jewish life. It's not about philosophy, and it's not about just love. It's about even love. Like you shall. One of the major sentences that many people think that it comes from Christianity is, "You shall love your neighbor as thyself." Right? No, it's in the Torah. But when Judaism explains that, it's actually clearly cut commandments, how you love your neighbor. And then it says you should do this, you should provide hospitality, you should visit him if he's sick, and so on and so forth. So it comes into a lot of miniature details of how you live a Jewish life. And here I think the two religions really differ in many ways.
Big time,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so for the next scene, Let's see. We would need your input, dear audience.
Let's see.
Let's see. Yeah, exactly.
Open,
Very good.
open
You
the
should probably
eyes
go
of
to
the
stage.
blind. Yes.
So we were talking about people being blind, having certain conditions and stuff like that. So dear audience, what I need as an input from you, if you can think about any kind of unorthodox or funny or strange condition someone could live with, like I don't know, like having wings instead of arms or anything like that, could you please put some strange conditions into the chat window for us, and that is going to inspire our next scene, and we are going to give you 60 seconds for doing that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We got some really great inputs. I don't even know which one to choose. Having butterflies for ears. That's fantastic. Hiccups when seeing someone you like. Oh, very good. Can only go backwards. I think I'm going to go for that. Because the next scene we are going to play is going to be a forward rewind scene, and this will make your job even more difficult than it is originally. In the forward rewind scene, I'm going to give instructions to the players whether they move the scene forward or backwards in time. So guys, there will be someone who can only go backwards, and the scene is about this person getting cure for his or her condition. Okay? The rest is up to you. Let's see how it goes.
Doctor, thanks for seeing me and
Yes.
this short notice. Oh, thank you.
It's all right.
Look, I can't live like this anymore.
Rewind.
Look, I can't live like this anymore.
It's all right.
I didn't see. Doctor, look, you have to help.
Forward.
Doctor, look, you have to help me. I can't live
It's
like.
all right.
Oh, I didn't see.
Jennifer, close your eyes. And now walk. Stop!
Rewind.
Stop! And now walk. Jennifer, close your eyes.
Look, I can't live like this anymore.
Forward.
I can't live like this anymore.
Jennifer, close your eyes. And walk! Stop! Walk now. Stop! And one more step. Ah!
Rewind.
Ah! One more step. Walk. Stop. Stop.
Forward.
Stop. And now walk. Ah! One more step. You can crawl.
I can crawl. Doctor, that's wonderful.
Crawl here.
Rewind.
Crawl here. You can crawl.
Look, I can crawl forward.
One more step. Walk. Stop.
this anymore.
It's all right.
I love that. That was really funny. That was really funny. I love this game actually when people or when players are putting themselves in a very bad position in this, and when Shotzi was falling, that was ridiculous. Thank you guys. Whew, okay.
Can we just go back a little bit, because I just remember.
No, we can't. Sorry. I'm sorry.
About the healing on Shabbat,
Yeah.
right? So I talked to an Orthodox rabbi friend of mine about all the different laws that they changed because of COVID, and or allowed things allowed. And one of the interesting things was that what happens if you're called in for a vaccination on Shabbat?
Yes.
And the answer was that you can, if you don't have to break any other Shabbat law, you can walk in and give your shoulder.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
so you can get vaccinated, because that's
How
saving a
interesting.
life. Pikuach nefesh is saving a life, and that's the most important.
And
So
that
I
overrides
I
the
was
other
just
rules, right?
reminded by the Shabbat.
Very good. Very good.
And we can think it over that the blind man's healing
Yeah.
was a pikuach nefesh.
Yeah.
So
Which is saving the life.
Saving the life. Oh, the same
Saving
phrase
life.
that you mentioned.
Because
Okay.
he lives.
Yeah.
He lives blind, and he lived the day before and
Yeah.
the day after. So it is an interesting question.
But like changing the condition
Yes.
so he's gonna probably live a completely new life, right? So
Yes,
it's like
that's it.
being reborn in a certain way.
Reborn in certain meaning. Yeah.
Talking about vaccination, and we all know that we have spent the last 1.5 years or something like that, 18 months, being at home office, being away from each other, being away from our family, in complete isolation, right? And isolation is a thing which comes up both in the Talmudic stories and the Bible as well.
Yeah.
Not just separating the sick or the diseased from the healthy, but there are also ways or regulations or rules on how to purify the diseased or the sickened.
Yes, there are many laws in the Bible about how to purify and how to cleanse. Actually, the whole idea of kashrut, by the way, is kind of like a cleanliness, the complex laws of how to separate the clean from the unclean. Judaism loves separating. You separate the weekdays from the holy days. You separate the holy from the non-holy.
The food in your fridge.
The
different
food
shelves.
in your
Yes,
fridge.
yes.
So it's all
The
about
vessels.
how to separate the clean from the unclean. And there are many different purity laws, how to do that, and how to isolate.
Yes. In the biblical times, it was the task of the priest. He had to examine the infected person, and he had to declare something, clean or unclean. If he is unclean, he must be separated for 7 days. The number of 7 is very important. And after 7 days, there was another examination as well. And maybe the person had to be separated another 7 days, isolated from the town, outside from the town, outside from the camp, and no contact with him. Generally, he must live alone. And maybe someone can help, but from a distance, from a big
Was the
big
person
distance.
treated or just left alone? Like, you go out and you heal yourself or whatever.
I think left alone.
If you're lucky, then
Left
yeah,
alone,
okay.
but he had to get something, so some
Yeah,
food
sure.
or yeah.
So he was helped in a
Because
certain way, right?
because it's not a death punishment,
Sure.
you know. So you haven't
Death
so,
sentence, yeah.
Yes. In ancient time, to get somebody to let somebody alone, it is
That was like
it
close to
was-
death sentence,
yes,
right?
die.
Yeah.
So he will die. So
Yeah.
you cannot do it.
one of the most famous story actually in the Torah of somebody isolated is Miriam's story.
Yeah.
And Miriam was Moses' sister, Moses and Aaron's sister, so she comes from a very respected Levite family, and she and her brother Aaron speak up against their brother Moses. And the text says because they speak against Moses because he took a Cushite wife. A Cushi is like a black. Tzipporah was supposedly black-skinned, and so they kind of like, say, our brother chose not well, right? He intermarried.
The different interpretation nowadays, but let's leave that. Yeah.
So in those times, that was and she becomes sick. She gets a very serious skin disease that is very visible, and she is isolated. And there are very different interpretations as to why is she punished by God with this skin disease.
The skin disease being, can we identify that nowadays? Or is that like
maybe it was a leprosy. Leprosy, yes, it was kind of.
Okay.
Some kind of a very serious skin disease, and she's isolated. And very interesting that in Judaism, most of the rabbis, when they explain skin diseases like visible, plagues and boils and all kinds of things, then one of the first reasons they come up with is that because Lashon Hara is the bad mouthing someone, is gossiping, is spreading rumors. So it's always connected to some kind of speech and communication stuff that you said something bad about someone, you were gossiping, you were spreading rumors. So
blaming somebody.
Yeah, blaming somebody.
I guess the disease or the condition itself being very visible would mean that this was treated like a very serious sin, right? Because anyone who met this person could immediately see that, there is a disease, then this person did something wrong, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but there is another interpretation of this story that Miriam is punished by God because she made a rebellion against Moses, against his brother. And why it is important that she rebelled against this person, because God says in this text, in the book of the fourth book of Moses, that I speak to my servant Moses face to face. There is nobody else who is in this condition, in this relationship with me. So if somebody rebels against my servant, it's a rebellion against me. So that it's a rebellion against God.
I see.
It will be punished.
Not a wise thing to do, for sure.
But I think it's quite interesting actually that I think that it's also something like what I said at the beginning, that later interpretation really is more and more about the speech thing, because I think that was more the sin that they met. Not the rebellion against leaders, but more people were spreading rumors about people. So they found it important to say that Miriam was punished because she was spreading a rumor and not because she rebelled. So it's the Talmudic way of saying we speak from our own times and from our own issues. So.
I see. Okay, interesting. Thank you. So we are going to play a scene which is inspired by the story of Miriam. And for that story, or for that scene, I again need your input, dear audience. Could you please think about something that an activist could rebel against? This could be anything like selling vegan sausages in butcher shops, or exchanging Mercedes-Benzes to Audi TT coupes, anything that comes to mind. So someone an activist could rebel against. Nothing political. I just wanted to come up with an example, like a political example, but I'm not going to do that. So we are going to give you that example. Please put that in to the YouTube chat. We are going to give you 60 seconds to do so. Thank you very much. So thanks very much for the inputs that you've put in. We have a great munition and inspiration for the next scene. This is going to be a naive scene, okay? In improv, we are playing naive scenes as well, when one of the players would not have the same information the others have. So could you please, one of you guys, just leave the studio? This is going to be Luca now. So, because our activist, which I did not mention before, our activist is not speaking English, but he is speaking a what language?
It's gonna be some kind of. It's gonna be Russian.
Russian. So we have a Russian speaking activist who is going to speak about lovely against. So you are going to rebel against closing the eyes when sneezing. Okay, so that's a no-go. That should not happen anymore in life, okay? And we are going to have an interpreter who is going to translate the speech, but without knowing what the speech is about. Petty, can you please call Luca? And Gergő. The scene... Luca, you didn't hear anything, right? So you have no idea.
Did not hear a word.
You did not hear a word. All right. So we have an activist. He is holding a speech against something, and you are going to translate. Let's see how it goes.
Dear my fellow citizens, in Poland, we will not wear glasses any longer. You need to see everything with other senses than your eyes, and you shall know that as good Christians. Okay, not Christians should also know that. I'm sorry. Everybody should know that. And don't open your eyes too much, because it scares other people, and we people should not scare each other just because we see not so well.
Спасибо.
So, when you think that you cannot go alone, then you need to ask a fellow citizen to go with you. But don't open the fellow citizen's eyes like the fellow citizen would scare other people. I shall repeat that information. Don't! But if the person likes so, you can do it. This is not a sin. So I do it for myself now. I saw God for a moment, but...
Luca, do you have any ideas, okay, what Gergő was rebelling against?
I believe that I was correct.
No, you were not. He was speaking against people closing their eyes when they are sneezing.
Oh, that's right as well. That's another issue in Poland.
Yeah.
I know that.
Anybody watching us from Poland, obviously it's not about you. Sorry about mentioning that particular country. It could have been anything. Okay, so let's continue. We were talking about isolation, right? And then even Kati, you mentioned that the person was, to a certain extent, exiled from the community, right? And we, I think, to a certain extent, also experienced this in the past couple of months, that certain things could lead to tension between certain groups of the society. Like nowadays, whether I'm vaccinated, I'm not vaccinated. So we are speaking against those who are vaccinated. We are speaking against those who are not vaccinated and stuff like that. Home office, not home office. Homeschooling, not homeschooling, whatever. tension. Pandemics tend to lead tension in the communities.
I absolutely agree. I think that actually it started out with quite equalizing, if you think about it, that we all were, or we all felt that we were in the same situation. We're all in a lockdown, and there were all
Worldwide, right?
these
Worldwide.
worldwide, and there it was very very worrisome, and we were of course scared. I think most of us, but there was this idealistic picture of the silent streets and everything, and then slowly it's changed, because people were out of the pandemic for a while, and other people were in it still, and then the whole vaccination started, and then there was, I remember not such a long time ago, when suddenly Israel was opening up, and I'm like, we're sitting in the lockdown, and even the restaurants are closed, and we're looking towards Israel. Why didn't I make Aliyah? Immigrated to Israel many years ago when I could, and now I would be free. So I think it created a lot of differences, and people who went through it, and people who didn't, and people who lost their jobs. So there was a lot of tragedy involved. People who, of course, lost their loved ones. So it created a lot of differences.
Yes, agree with you.
Rabbi Hanina.
Rabbi Hanina, yes. So there's a story in the Talmud about Rabbi Hanina, who lived in Babylonia, and he arrives to Palestine to study in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi. Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi is a very important figure in the Talmudic history, because he's the one who actually writes down the Mishnah, the Mishnah, which is the text that the Talmud is based on, partly. And so he moves to this town, Sephoris, and suddenly a plague, a pandemic, an epidemic breaks out, and the only street which the epidemic doesn't touch is the street where Rabbi Hanina lives. And somehow this Rabbi Hanina is not very liked by the people in Sephoris. So of course they start to say, it's because you didn't pray for us, and how come your street is saved? And he says to them, look, it's not about that. You should lead a moral life. So here again we come back to the fact that, if you live a moral life, you're not affected by disasters like an epidemic. But it also reminds me actually that how you start blaming people who don't go through the same experience. And unfortunately, we Jews went through a lot of times this, because whenever there was a plague, many people around us started saying that it was started by the Jews, especially because many times Jews were much less affected by the plagues. And there are different interpretations, and of course one of the most obvious ones, that because of all these purity laws, the hand washing, which
Before
is like
eating,
before eating and after eating, and
Hygienic,
before, so there are a lot of hygienic laws, and so we were many times more saved than the general population. And then of course the general population started blaming the Jews that they started the epidemic. So we really went through and experienced this many times in history.
And not only because of that reason, right? In many cases, Jews was blamed for
it was a good reason,
for lots of things.
There's an epidemic. It's the Jews.
It's the Jews. Yeah. There's something else. There's the Jews. Yeah, exactly. All right. So conflicts between certain groups, right?
Yes.
And poor Rabbi Hanina. Yeah, that's the way I need to say it. And the rest of the town. So for the next scene, we need again an input. That this is the last time when we need your input, dear audience. And thanks very much for the ones that you've put in before. We would need two conflicting groups for the next scene, okay? Two conflicting groups who can have a tension between them, like, for example, Újpest supporters and Fradi supporters, or I don't know, these are two football clubs in Hungary, for those who don't know. Or it's the football time anyhow, or soccer time, whatever you want to call it. So you can be the supporter of one country or the other country. So any kind of two conflicting groups, could you please put it in the chat? And then we can start our next scene. We are going to give you 60 seconds. Thank you very much. So thank you very much for all the inputs. While I'm choosing from them and I'm just reading them, could you please, Kati, just hand out the little green notes? On those green notes, we have numbers from 1 to 4. And in the next scene, dear players, you can only speak in sentences, okay, which consist of that many words that you are holding now. Can you please just turn the pages or turn the notes? So Shatsi, you must speak in sentences with one word. Luca, you have 3 words. Gergő, 4 words. And Peti, you have 2 words in each of your sentences. Okay. Well, that's yeah, very good ones. Dog lovers and cat lovers, meat eaters and vegans. But let's, I'm going to pick one which is not that straightforward and not that easy. So I'll put you up to the challenge again. People who butter their bread on the right side and people who butter their bread on the wrong side. So one side and the other side, okay? That is 2 conflicting groups and you guys meet each other and you have a very tense conversation or whatever that you want to play. Let's see.
Seriously? This is good.
Left side for me.
Don't give more. For you, no. For you, no.
Why?
Because the right side.
Why?
Because I say.
Heart is on left.
True.
Butter should be 2.
Can I?
Please don't give.
Why not?
This is beautiful.
Disgusting.
It is beautiful.
My precious.
Ugh.
You come closer.
Right wing, very aggressive.
Hold it.
No.
I don't want that.
Lick it.
I don't want that.
You should try.
Wrong.
It's the wrong side.
It is God. Oh,
Ah.
he's eating.
So good.
Is it good?
Disgusting. Oh.
Look, it's God.
Gotta be back tomorrow.
Go home.
Gladly.
Please don't give up.
One bite.
Thank you. A lot.
We the leftists hate it. You shouldn't do that.
The truth.
It's on our side.
Wrong side.
Very wrong side.
Wrong.
Try it, please.
Okay,
No.
I am
No.
doing.
My hero!
Don't be afraid. It's easy.
I am very much.
Try it.
Don't watch it. You need bite.
Eat. Oh. We win.
It's totally the same.
That should have been a punchline of tonight's evening, right? Or of tonight. That was just
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, come on, guys. It's the same. That was fantastic. It was so nice.
Genius.
You would never believe that it is not directed, but it's not actually. It is improv. It was lovely. Okay, so the question of questions, and I need to read this. When all this is over, okay, how do we want the world to be different? So where do we go from now? Now we were talking about like many things, like how religious communities would act, or how the practice of the religion is going to change, whether how you go to temples or wherever. What do you think? Well, I mean,
So for me, I go to a congregation in Budapest, which is the Frankel Synagogue, and it's led by a wonderful Rabbi, Tamás Verő. And ever since the pandemic started, he's been doing everyday prayer online.
Nice.
And it really created a community. Like usually you don't have a prayer every day in a synagogue, at least in Budapest you don't. And because people really felt the need to connect, so he's been doing that with devotion and dedication every day. And I think that that's a great direction. If you think about it in our communities, that if there's one good thing coming out from this, that it creates bonds and makes communities stronger, and also creates ways that you would never have thought, right? Like that you can connect people who otherwise cannot be connected to your religious congregation or your community because they live far away, they live in another country. So we learned that you can, that our world is much more connected than we would have thought if this doesn't hit us. So I really think that should be the direction, that we also consciously start thinking of new ways of connecting to other people.
That is also actually true for even the Talmud on stage events, right? It would be otherwise very difficult for you guys from Uruguay to come to Budapest and see a show here. But I mean, via this online situation, you can do that.
The online world is working in the Christian tradition, so in the Christian church as well. So I attend the church, the Franciscan church, and at the Margit Körút, so in the Buda side, and there were many online sessions. Even the religious education classes and the Bible study classes were online, and everybody could attend to this. Or the sessions, the meeting for other people were also online. And sometimes, or many times, the younger generation helped the grandpas and grandmas to attend these sessions with the online communication with the iPads and computers, PCs.
And what do you think then when the restrictions are going to be over and then we are going to be free again? Okay, would these stay with us, like the online ways of connecting with each other in religious spaces or via religious practices or events? Would it stay?
I hope
or would
so.
we go back to the
No.
only the personal?
It will
way?
stay. It will
will
stay.
stay.
Several churches, mostly every church wants to have a streaming possibility. So that's why they made efforts for having this. So it's cost money, but every church has this possibility, the streaming the holy masses. And it is very important, but because not only because of the pandemics, but it's somebody old person cannot go to the holy mass.
Sure.
And
it's even better,
can,
right?
Everybody can participate.
So definitely has an advantage
yes,
as well.
Yes, that is an advantage.
Fritzi? What do you
I really
think?
hope so.
Okay.
I'm a little bit, I'm usually very optimistic, but I think that the moment that the world becomes similar to the world before COVID-19, I think we probably go back to our same routines. I remember that when the pandemic started, it was like this, the animals came closer to us suddenly, and, then the climate change is now turning back. And do we remember that now? We don't remember that now.
Really,
so it's unfortunately, we have our routines, and I just hope so that we will at least learn some things from what we went through.
We have to.
Yes, we have to.
Okay, so as for the last scene, this is going to be what we are going to finish tonight's show with. We are going to see a freestyle improv, like somehow the essence, or maybe even unrelated to what happened tonight or what we were talking about tonight. Just a free improv scene inspired by everything that we were talking about tonight. Let's see.
Dear God, I am scared. I am lady, I'm 5. My dad does not close his eyes and my mom's been crawling for 2 years. They're strange. I'm afraid of them. Could you help?
I'm gonna open that.
Scene. Oh. Oh la la.
Hello, Patricia.
God, you see, no, you don't ask God like that. Delete. God, no, delete. Oh, heart. Scene.
I love you too.
My dear, now that we live here with your grandpa, can you teach me the iPhone?
Sure, Grandma. Do you have an iPhone?
No, but I stole yours last night and...
You did?
Yeah!
I love you so much.
I thank you,
Such a fantastic person. I can learn a lot of things from you. How did you steal it?
you were sleeping on the couch.
And you just sneaked into my room?
Yeah!
I love you so much. Fantastic.
Thanks, now get it out.
I think you have it. You stole it, right?
Oh, I did. I forgot
Exactly.
to give you back.
So where is it? Did you... Oh, you remember?
Yeah.
So, Grandma, you shouldn't have stolen my iPhone.
Oh, my dear. Come on.
I'm just kidding. You can have it. I have another one.
Really?
Yes, from the company that I started to work.
How does this work? I stole it, but I couldn't use it. It needed an ID. What's an ID?
It's your fingerprint. You just put it on.
Oh!
Darling!
Pop?
Pope Francis speaks to me through the computer! I don't know what happened.
Exit, Grandpa!
He just appeared!
Hit exit.
But now I shouldn't exit the Pope!
You will say something that you don't want to.
Oh, he always does this.
Exactly.
Just don't say anything to him. I'm coming. I'm.
Oh, Grandma, I will just cut
Dear
off
Pope
the internet.
Francis, I love you, I have to tell you.
I'll just cut off the internet now.
Dear my people of Poland, we need to unite, and I know the way to unite this country again. Look at this piece of bread. If you say you want to butter this side or that side, it does not matter anymore.
What about the sneezing?
The sneezing is a thing, though. But tonight, it's not about the sneezing, it's about uniting, not with the sneezes. We can't. Why did you bring it up? Shut up! I wanted to talk about something that unites us, not something that separates. We were separated for long, haven't we? Don't we? No, no, okay, I don't care.
Thank God.
In improv, we say quite frequently that should not stay in, but Patty, I'm sorry, but that will stay in now. Okay, so he started another scene, but unfortunately, our time is up. Thanks very much for being with us tonight. We do hope that you enjoyed the show. As we said earlier, in about 5 minutes' time, we are going to start a Zoom session, a Q&A session. Feel free to join us. We are going to talk about what you saw tonight, the scenes, the discussions, how Talmud on Stage was designed and prepared, how it came to life and many other things Borcha would want to talk about. And Fritzi is going to be there, and Gergő is going to be there as well, so you can talk to them. Fritzi, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Kati, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Pleasure.
Our players were Peti, Luca, Saci, and Gergő. Here in the backstage we have Péter, we have Ákos, Nandi, Timi, Oliver, and Borcha, and a dog as well. I don't know his or her name. And my name was Gábor. I was the host of tonight. Thanks very much for watching us. Please stay with us. You can join back in 5 minutes time. I'm going to put the link to the Zoom session. I'm not going to put it now, but I'm going to put it in 1 minute time, because obviously my computer is not working, but I promise that it's going to appear there very soon. Thanks very much, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Good night.
Good night.